Good morning. Welcome to this place of peace, justice, and hope. In this Unitarian Universalist congregation, we affirm no matter who you are, who you love, or where you are on your journey, you are welcome here. For those of you joining us online, we are so glad you are with us. I am Megan Griffin. My pronouns are she and her. I am pleased to be with you as the worship associate today. If you are visiting with us today, we invite you to sign our visitor's book. Also, members and friends, to help folks connect, remember to wear your name tags with your pronoun stickers. If you need a new name tag, you can request that in the living room. Childcare for children under the age of 5 is available in our playroom, located in the lower level of the RE building across the alley. Youngsters are welcome to join the playgroup when the older children are sung out to RE. But please know that all ages may remain in the service. All voices are welcome here. You are invited to stay after the service for coffee downstairs in the Alice Warren room. Visitors and newer folks are invited to pick up a green mug so that we know to welcome you and to get to know you better. May you each know that you are welcome in this house of peace, and may our worship and fellowship this morning touch your heart, mind, and spirit. Welcome to our celebration of community. Our music today will be provided by Jamie Passman. Thank you, Jamie. There is always a lot going on around the church, and you can read all about it in News and Notes, which arrives in your inbox every Friday, and there are printed copies available. If you would like to receive News and Notes, stop by the welcome folks. On October 27th, the October collection of shelf-stable food items for beds plus clients housed in motels will meet in the social hall to assemble 48 complete personal meals from the food items that have been donated. These meals need to be shelf-stable and microwavable in the packaging. Now Nancy, Peter, and Julia will come up for an announcement.
No, I'm not going to wear it.
That's why we came.
I have my pirate earrings on, though. I'm Nancy, just one person in a small but mighty team that is planning this fall's Treasure Island auction to benefit our UCH. This year, thanks to the encouragement of Reverend Beth and the talents of our team members, we'll be using the Auctria online platform to expedite many facets of the auction process. We've added some fun and exciting extras. There will, of course, be camaraderie, great food and drinks, and fun bidding at this year's event. In addition, everyone will receive a bid paddle with their bidding number on it for both the silent and the live auctions. We'll also have a pirate photo booth with some cool props, and pirate booty bags will join wine picks for more surprises. If you want to know more about wine picks or anything else about the auction, visit the treasure chest table downstairs and we'll answer all your questions. Our goal, the goal of everyone who treasures what UCH offers and delivers to each and every one of us, should be to work together to reach or ideally surpass the projected goal of $25,000, a line item in our annual budget. Our auction can meet this goal only if you find a way to get involved. For some, the thought of getting involved sounds a bit scary. Will I have to commit to a task or activity beyond the auction? Will I have to join a committee? That's not what we're asking of you. In order to ensure that our auction is a great success, here are several ways for you to step up. First, to make sure our auction catalog will be super enticing, you can donate something like restaurant gift cards, auctionable items of some value, $10 gift cards to a restaurant or shop, $20 bottles of red or white wine for wine picks. You can host get-togethers for dinner or games or discussions. You've all read your news and notes this week and have seen many other donation items listed there, right? If you haven't, the Octria link to the current catalog is right there. We'll also post QR codes to take you to the catalog. The second way to step up is you can sign up to volunteer before or after the event. Tasks are listed on the volunteer sheet at the treasure chest table downstairs. It may be trite, but it's true. Many hands make light work. The third way to step up is buy tickets. Only $20 per person gets you dinner, dessert, entertainment, and of course, the chance to sign up or bid on as many fun activities and items that strike your fancy. Your friends and family members are welcome to join in the fun, also at $20 per ticket. Now it's time to hear testimonials from Peter, who has hosted events, and Julia, who has attended them.
I'm not going to wear that hat either. Well, if you come to my house, you'll find three things. Paintings all over every single wall, Cookie the cat, and a lot of wine, because I love wine. And I have hosted last year, and actually that wasn't the first time, it was the second time, a wine tasting. And when you come to my wine tasting, there's all kinds of different wines, and last year it was really great. Darren helped me out. Calling Dr. Howard. So he's going to help me this year, so we're going to repeat the wine tasting. It was great. It was a lot of fun. And the nice thing about wine tasting, the more you taste, the more fun you have. And it was great. So that's it.
Many of you know I've been here for a long time in this church, so I can't even tell you how many events I've attended. But it's such a joy. I've been to Peter's house for dinner and for wine tasting. I've been to Marion Honel Wilson's wonderful lake house, which is a lovely place. I've been to game nights with Darren and Megan. And I learned how to play pinochle, which I never would have done before. So people are so generous with their offerings, and it's such a great way to get to know a variety of people, because you never quite know who's going to be there. And I've been to discussion groups too, which are really stimulating and interesting. And just as a plug, I've also given stuff. I do give resume writing and interview skills, if anybody's interested in that. So I encourage anybody to sign up for as many of the events as you can, because again, it's a great joy. It's a wonderful way to help the church. And if you sign up for a variety of things, you get to meet a variety of people. So don't pass it up.
Oh, thanks, Peter and Julia. And thank you to all who support, participate, and step up for this fun and important event, for the support of all you love about UCH. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm a little bitter that no one wore the hat. You know, ooh, yes, good job. Okay. Next time, I want to attest to Peter's amazing painting skills and his talent. You'll see on the fireplace there's always a painting by Peter, and some of you who are at the Blessing of the Animals may have seen the beautiful painting of my kitties that he did. He created the room that he placed them in. He did it from pictures. It's in the back, and that was an auction item. So Peter is got a lot of talent, as so many of you do. It is so exciting to be at the auction. It really is. It's fun. I have another quick announcement, just a reminder that the Trans Inclusion and Congregations program is going to start soon. So it's on the 24th, so you have time to sign up. Several folks did it last fall, and we do it with the DuPage UU Church, so I encourage you to sign up if you haven't done that. It gives us an opportunity to live our welcome and to deepen our sense of belonging and to look at true inclusion and belonging. So I invite you to join us in that. Also recognize that we here are in the western suburbs inhabit areas that are the traditional territories of the indigenous peoples, including the Kickapoo, Peoria, Potawatomi, and others. As people trying to live into a more just world, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the harm, the history and legacy of colonialism, the harm done to Native peoples, and also to work to repair that harm. By the way, I'm the Reverend Dr. Beth Johnson. My pronouns are she, they, and it is good to see y'all on this absolutely gorgeous Sunday morning. We're not sure how many of these really warm, balmy days we're gonna have, so thanks for coming, and we'll be out in plenty of time for y'all to enjoy the actually warmest part of the afternoon. So I'm gonna invite you to just take a breath with me and arrive to this time in this place with these people. There. Did you need a breath just to arrive? No. I know. Sometimes people tell me to breathe. I'm like, why? But then I can't help myself. I'm going to invite us into a couple of opening songs. The first is the meditation on breathing, and there's a drone, a really quiet part that I'm going to invite you into, and then we'll sing the melody, and then we'll go ahead and sing. Some people will sing a little descant. So here we go. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. I breathe in peace, I breathe out, I breathe out love. I'll breathe in peace when I breathe out. I'll breathe out love when I breathe in. I'll breathe in peace when I breathe out. I'll breathe out love when I breathe in. I'll breathe in peace when I breathe out. I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. We breathe in, we breathe out. We inhabit our bodies, our spirits, this place. And we recognize that when our heart is in a holy place, we are what? Blessed with love and amazing grace. I invite you to sing with me. You can rise and body your spirit, or you can stay seated. Words by Barbara Peskin. In this familiar place, listen to the sounds of breathing, creaking chairs, shuffling feet, clearing throats, and sighing all around. Know that each breath, movement, the glance met for you or intercepted, holds a life within it. These are the signs that we choose to be in this company. Have things to say to each other. Things not yet said, but in each other's presence, still trembling behind heart's doors. These doors closed but unlocked, each silent thing waiting on the threshold between unknowing and knowing, between being hidden and being known. Find the silence among these people and listen to it all. Breathing, sighs, movement, holding back. Hear the tears that have not yet reached their eyes, perhaps your own. Hear also the laughter building deep, where joy abides despite everything. Listen. Rejoice. And say amen. It is good to be together.
We light this chalice to remember the light within, to know that the hunger we feel inside is an echo of inner wisdom that wants something more for us, for others, for the weary yet wonderful world.
All right. I'm going to invite Pam Fodor, our Director of Programs, up for our Time for All Ages.
I wasn't listening, and my story's about listening.
You were having...
All right, I have to get ready here. This is for you. It's my helper. Okay. So for the next several weeks, or a couple of weeks, the services are going to be about deep listening. And you might be wondering what, exactly. You might be wondering what deep listening is, and that the word to focus on is deep. Last clue, as it points to things under the surface, like think deep down in the ocean, things are far down there, kind of hidden. And when things are deep down, we often ignore them or we don't know about them because they're so deep down there. And they're hard to see. So they're often overlooked. So think about that. We're going to explore things that are deep inside of us. And so that's kind of what my story's about today. Once upon a time, there was a fruit vendor. Here's his stand. Now, the fruit vendor, I'm going to say fruit fender every time. Every time. If I do, just go along with it. The fruit vendor wanted to attract new customers to his cart, so he decided to put up a board near his cart that said, "Fresh fruit sold here." Now, one day a man came up to him and said, "We have seen you sell fruit most of the time. It is fresh. So why did you put up a board with the word fresh on it? Why do you require this advertisement? You should just rub off the word fresh." So the vendor did so, and then all that was left was the words. Now, after some time, a woman came up and said, we know you're selling fruits and not vegetables. We're not dodos. So why do you have the word fruit on your boards? You should wipe off the word fruit. So the vendor did, and left on the board now were 2 words. After some time, an elderly person approached and said, sometimes, if you've been sitting in the market for a long time, you get tired of trying to sell the fruits, so you give them away for free. You should take the word sold off from the board. So the vendor did that, and now the whiteboard only had 1 word left. So a child soon passed by and teased the vendor, saying, everybody in the world knows that you're here and not there. So why do you have the word here up there? You should erase the word here. So now the board was clean and empty. And the fruit vendor just sat. After a while, another person came up and said, only a silly man would keep such a nice board clean and empty. Why don't you write something on it to advertise your fruits or a special deal of the day? Maybe like the end. So why did I choose this story today? And what does it have to do with deep listening, you're probably wondering? Well, everybody around us has an opinion to share. Everybody has a suggestion to offer, and most often they offer it with the best intentions. But if we only listen to what everybody else thinks is best, we slowly lose the ability to hear what we think is best. And we become like this sign in the story, an empty thing that others just write on. This is why it's so important to be able to listen to our own wisdom inside. Some people might call that inner wisdom God, while others might call it your heart or your conscience or Jiminy Cricket or your gut or your inner voice. But at the end of the day, the name's not really what's most important. The most important thing is that we listen to it. So please join together in singing me and Penelope, my helper, out to our class.
We know that our financial contributions to this congregation come from sacrifice and hard work. We are so grateful for this and commit together to ensure the funds we gather collectively do a greater good for ourselves and our world than they could have done alone. May there be an offering to sustain and grow the life and mission of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope. Please join in our offertory words. This church is made up of all of us. It is what we learn together, the work we do together, the fun we have together. It is what we share with one another, with people around us, and with the world. Thank you for your generosity.
Breathe. Arriving again to the place of deep listening. Listening for your word. Reverend Marta I Valiente. Spirit of life, Spirit of all lives, you hold in your heart and hands all that is good and just as you wait for us to grab and take hold. Teach us when to reach and when to release, when to pray, or when to simply sit still, listening for your word. Teach us to trust that what we hear is not in our imaginations, and help us to accept this. Spirit of life, guide us in this day as we open the path before us with you as our beacon, the light, the star whose glow we follow. Amen. And this service is truly about returning to the wisdom in each of us, to listening to the still small voice, to not having to respond to the clamor of voices that say, this word, not that word, no, not that word, put up a word. What word do you have? It's about returning, just taking this time, this day, this part one of our deep listening, to go in, to listen to self and to source, however that source is named and experienced in you. So it is a return, a returning again and again and again to who we are, to whose we are, and to bring us into that place of our inner knowing, of quieting the voices. Maybe I'm the only one with the voices, and I should have said that out loud. But to return again to the home of our souls. So I'm going to invite you to sing with me. Have you returned? Maybe you never left. Maybe you're one of those who walks through the world always connected to the home of your soul. If so, let me know how you do that on a daily basis. But it is the call, it is the opportunity that we have to return to who we are. And at this time in our service, we acknowledge what we bring with us, what we carry with us when we return and connect with what it is, the joys, the sorrows, the celebrations, the lostness. If you have a joy or a sorrow, I invite you to come forward. You can take a pebble, each one is unique, signifying the uniqueness that you each are. Remind you that, why don't you make a line over here, it'd be easier. That pebbles can be dropped in silence. And go ahead and share with us briefly.
Family and friends are very important. My family has, her stepmom has cancer and she may have only 2 weeks to live. It's all over her body. And my brother's neighbors, Joe, has the same problem. She might have another year. So I just learned that last week. So, but everyone's doing all right. So think of Don and Joe.
I'm Kathy. My dear friend became very ill a couple of weeks ago, and it wasn't clear what was the matter. And his daughter took him to the hospital, and they figured out that he had a very serious infection. Fortunately, when they cultured it, it turned out to be something that the antibiotics that we have will still kill. And he is now better. He's a lot better. He's not very confused. He still thinks I'm his wife. But I'm very happy to see him smiling.
I just want to congratulate all of the doctors, pharmacists, respiratory therapists, nurses, nurse practitioners, massage therapists, lab technicians who volunteered, and all the volunteers that helped at the Chicago Marathon this weekend. I worked in one of the 22 med tents there. It was actually quite fun. But it was amazing to see the teamwork that helped assist more than 27,000 athletes who were running on the course.
My name is Anne-Marie, and I just am holding the tension of coming up to some major surgery and also finding some blessing in all the teachings that I've already been given.
My baby brother turned 80 last week. He has been a research scientist at the University of Pennsylvania in the field of smell and taste and has retired. But he also has an international company that makes smell and taste tests. And last week, his employees had a surprise birthday for him. It really was a surprise, with about 50 people there and a video of his entire career. But the last time that he called me, he was in Iceland, and the last time I called him, he was having a pedicure.
Get your stone.
I'm Ron, and I'd like to wish Anita Jenks a happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. And happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Anita. Happy birthday to you. And we have one more. Tony Meathers. And I don't know that Tony's here today.
And Leo.
And Leo.
And
I won't say
Leo.
what birthday. So we've got a bunch of birthdays, and so to all of them, Leo, Tony, Anita,
Hi, I have a joy and a sorrow to share. My joy is last weekend, I was in North Carolina. I got to go to a Kamala Harris rally. I was right in front. If she wanted to spit on me, she could have. And I also got to go door knocking, and I met James Taylor, Sweet Baby James. And I did not know he grew up in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, but that's why he came back, and it was awesome to see him. My sorrow is that a very good friend of mine passed away. In September, Julia Kleinschmidt Case from Westmont. They were treating her for pneumonia for 2 weeks, and then one day she just couldn't breathe and went to the hospital and found out she had lung cancer, liver cancer, and she died that night. And she was 3 years younger than me, so that is my sorrow. This is my friend Julia, and I'm gonna miss her terribly.
I'm Darren. One of the joys I was going to share is the birthdays. Another one I'm going to share before I share it, please do not play anniversary or sing, but Megan and I celebrated 2-year anniversary last week. That's why we were not here.
No pebbles for you, huh, Darren? Okay. I'm Karen, and what I'm about. Hey. I'm so glad to hear you all laughing, because that's what I'm about to talk about. My daughter, who is 50 and lives in the Keys, is in for a week with 2 of her gal friends. They call it getting off the rock. And I tell you, if you've never heard 3 50-year-old women at 1 o'clock in the morning sitting and laughing their heads off, you haven't experienced the best part of life. So in the midst of all of our grief and our troubles and our anxieties, how therapeutic a good laugh can be. Bring it into your life whenever you can.
Hi, I'm Pat. Okay, Karen, that's a really hard act to follow. I have a joy and a concern, which is 2 in the same. I, like many of you, are enjoying this unbelievable weather. My concern is that it's October 20th and we still haven't had a killing frost. And as an environmentalist and a gardener, it's a little upsetting, but I'm still enjoying the warm weather.
Hi, I'm Rajat, and coming to service after almost a year, but yeah, I still remember all the faces, so that's good. My joy is that our son just turned 6 months old. And thanks to most of you for all the gifts on the shower that you gave us. So that was very nice. And he is downstairs, by the way. And my sorrow is that one of my good friends in India, his mother passed away. So feel bad for that. And that's
Thank you. Put in your pebbles.
Thank you all for the birthday greeting. I want to support the comments on the assistance of doctors, physicians at the marathon. As you know, I mentioned last Sunday that Valerie was, our eldest, was in the marathon, and she threw her hip out. She didn't think she would be able to finish, and she stopped in 2 places, and they helped her, the physical therapists, the doctors, and they got her going, so she completed. So she's ready for another marathon.
Amidst laughter and celebration, we acknowledge the sorrows near and those far. For those joys and sorrows, those spoken and unspoken, will you hold with me a moment of silent reflection? Spirit of life, spirit of love, source, ground of our being, still small voice, you of many names and no names. We pause in this time, sharing sorrow with those with deep losses, with illness, hard diagnoses. We hold in our hearts all who are suffering, grieving, lost, or alone. And amidst that, we acknowledge that life also holds its joys, its laughter, its hope, its possibility. Life calling to life for our earth, for all those affected by war and devastation, for each other and those we love, for those known and unknown, seen and unseen. We hold in our hearts the possibility for peace, for more love, for hope. May we have faith that our love and what we bring can offer that to the world. And you, each of you, know this. You are always and everywhere held in love and mystery deeper than you can know. Howard Thurman, the theologian, mystic, philosopher, educator, civil rights leader, wrote these words: "How good it is to center down, to sit quietly and see one's self pass by. The streets of our minds seethe with endless traffic. Our spirits resound with clashings and noisy silences, while something deep within hungers and thirsts for the still moment, the resting lull amidst it all. Questions persist. What are we doing with our lives? What are the motives that order our days? What is the end of our doing? Where are we trying to go? Over and over, the questions beat in upon the waiting moment as we listen, floating up through the jangling echoes of our turbulence. There is a sound of another kind, a deeper note, which only the stillness of the heart makes clear. It moves directly to the core of our being. Our questions are answered, our spirits refreshed, as we move back into the traffic of the daily round with the peace of the eternal in our step. How good it is to center down. To center down. Amidst all of the words and even all of the songs, we pause and breathe. This painting was done by my late brother-in-law, Joe Tarara, and as I thought of coming today with this notion of deep listening, this idea of centering down, this idea of finding the places that nourish us, that give us the space and the peace, knowing that we can't all be on a wonderful waterfront amidst trees. So we find that space within ourselves. And in so doing, we learn to listen. As Pam said earlier, that deep listening to ourselves, what I call our knower, the place that knows. We have all been given some opportunities, some lessons in listening. Nope, please. What a sound. The last notes vibrating on in us and through the universe. And in those notes of jazz, the music born in this country, and especially known in the city and the area that I now inhabit, 20 miles away, we hear all of life in its diversity of forms, at once longing and hopeful, soulful, and surprising. Ken Burns once said it well, jazz represents the influence of mix of forms and cultures. African, Latin American, Civil War marching bands, and this jazz helps us to bring together the diversity and form that liberates and celebrates. Our lives often hinge between the before and the after, the then and the now. Music and that kind of deep listening to life that I'll suggest today doesn't obliterate the distinction, but asks us to hear the possibilities in the after and the what now, anticipating the notes, wondering what's next. And what happens when we listen to our lives, to others, to the world? I suggest that we pick up strains and melodies that without our careful listening we could miss, condemning us to stagnant patterns and predictability. This morning I'll bring in several voices. The Reverend Barbara Peskin, James Cruz, I brought in Howard Thurman, and I begin with the question, what is the sound that you love most? The one that you listen for, that you seek out, for your children's laughter or cries, for the voice of a beloved. Perhaps it is a symphony or the sound of coffee in the pot gurgling in the morning, or the ocean pulling waves. The familiar, gentle creaking of an old floorboard assures us that all is well in the world of our home. For me, some of you know, it's birds, especially the dove, although I do miss my crows. And then there's this really noisy jay that has just started to come to my house with a friend who scream at everything. And you know, I love that sound. It's a harmonium, soul sound, spirit sound. It's my sister's voice at the end of the phone. Hi, Bethy. We listen to life, and we listen for life. And we all listen in different ways and for different reasons. Sometimes we listen for instructions or information. Sometimes we listen so that we can have a discussion or a dialogue. And there are many, many different ways that we learn to listen. Most of us know about reflective and active listening. What I hear you saying is, right? It includes being present and paying attention to the other's body language and making eye contact. These are good tools to help us connect authentically with others. And listening deeply asks even more of us. An acquaintance of mine back in California, Kay Lindahl, she's a leader in the interfaith community, strongly committed to interfaith dialogue and founder of the Listening Center, suggests that there's more to deep listening. There's listening besides listening for dialogue. There's listening for spiritual growth and deepening love. She suggests that listening is and can be a sacred act. When practiced as such, it can change us. It will change us. There is no doubt. Deep listening to ourselves, to our deepest selves, to our truths will change you. And it will change the world. Kay reminds us that deep listening requires silence, reflection, presence, in order to respond to life in creative and novel ways. If we're listening to our own inner wisdom, or our source, or to God, or the holy, or the still small voice, or a dove, if we're listening to another person, if we're listening to the world, in each instance, we get to practice silence, reflection, and presence. Listening calls us into silence. It requires that there be space between the thoughts we think, the words we speak, or that others speak. All listening requires that we be still, be present, be patient with ourselves and with others, to open to what is longing to be heard. I think that listening to self and to source is a good place to start in the sacred art of listening. For it is our own inner dialogue, or in my case, I happen to have a very busy brain, and there is often a committee with a whole lot to say about what I'm thinking or what I'm doing or what someone else is thinking or doing. And that interferes with hearing my own inner wisdom and my own source. When I can stem the tide of my inner chatter, I can hear my inner wisdom. Even though I sometimes may confuse them, they are not the same thing. The one on the chandelier who's saying stuff? No, not the same as the voice that comes from deep within when I center in and center down. Silence makes the space for my inner wisdom and your inner wisdom, all of our inner wisdom, to come through. It is the container through which the wisdom and the holy and the sacred can be held long enough for us to hear. Reflection is a part of listening to self and source. We observe, we notice what happens in the silence, what is revealed, and we do this not with judgment, not with judgment. Maybe you have that judging voice that says, what? That's not inner wisdom. Trust. But with love and longing for the lessons to be learned, for possibilities disclosed. Presence is listening to our lives, bringing an active awareness to our way of being in the world. Paying attention to our bodies is one way. Now, it should not surprise you, those of you who've been here for a while, that I'm going to invite us into our bodies, to listening to our bodies, to listening to what our bodies say. Sometimes our bodies say, that was a really hard bed I slept on at the retreat center I was in. Or other times our body says, shh, listen, there's an ache, and maybe it's in your heart. Maybe it's a feeling or a sense, a sensation in your gut that says, pay attention. Our bodies are the place our memories call home. And our bodies are purveyors of wisdom. We feel before we think. Feeling is the first mode of perception. Thinking comes next. Feeling in our bodies brings us the sounds, the sights, if we have those capacities. It brings us the taste in our mouths when we've tasted a sweet fruit, and it brings us back. Listening to ourselves and our source connects us with body, mind, spirit. We take that time. Perhaps it's to turn off the car radio. Lately, I have not been having the car radio on. I just drive in silence. And then I notice the chatter in my head, and then I allow it to go back into silence and avoid running through red lights. Sometimes turning off the television. When I was in California for a couple of weeks, I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but I honestly didn't know how to work my friend's TV. And I was there taking care of her dog for 2 weeks and walking her dog in this beautiful, open and wooded area. There was open, there was wooded, it was gorgeous, and I would come back into the house. And I did not distract myself with the TV. I didn't even distract myself with videos. I just allowed that silence to be. And when I came home, y'all, it was at least 2 weeks before I turned on my TV. It was a miracle. I'm telling you, it really was. You can have a day of silence or go on a silent retreat. A colleague of mine takes 10-day silent retreats once a year. The truth be told, I do have trouble not talking to my cat. I invite you now into just a moment to listen to your own inner voice. Just breathe. Just be. Let the silence be. Just for a moment. Next time we'll be talking about listening to others. But I encourage you as you move through the weeks, the next couple of weeks, to think about this practice of silence, reflection, and listening to self and source. And if you're inclined to journal, to journal. If you're inclined to come and visit and talk about your silence, I would love to do that with you. We also, as part of, I think, for some of us listening to source, it's also listening to the world. That deep listening to the world that says we haven't had a killing frost. And now we were talking about at our newcomers breakfast that the leaves aren't as robust, aren't as colorful because of the way the weather has been. We listen to our world, and the world itself is a source of wisdom, teaching us how to live. And we've been going through the cycles of life, which are the cycles of nature, teaching us how to live when we see a big old another super moon that says, look at the fullness. And then it wanes and says, let go. And then it's new. And it says, be born again and again and again and again. When we listen to the rest of nature, we're nurtured in profound ways. This past week, I was at a retreat with Unitarian Universalist ministers from this region. And I did a labyrinth walk. That's the labyrinth walk. It's a little bigger than the one that Charlie and I are going to have right outside there. Right, Charlie? Mm-hmm. That labyrinth that we're going to build together, walk together. As I was walking the labyrinth, I heard a squirrel making these really squirrely noises. And the birds were chattering, and there was a light breeze. The silence around me lets me hear when the wind is in the trees. We bring our silence to the world, and the world calls us. It is love's brooding over the face of the waters. It's the blended note of 1,000 things, the wine of wings. We're silent in our listening. Reflect on what we hear, and we bring this presence into the world. Because this listening to the world opens us, humbles us, and asks us to reflect and be present to all that is being said to us. The natural world, the created world, and other human beings who are not part of our immediate community. They are calling to us as well. Can you hear? Can you hear? We're listening to all of the voices. Be silent and bring your presence to what you hear. Listening to the promptings of spirit, the voices of those in need and those responding to the divine cry, calling us to understanding, compassion, and peace.
One, two. I was really excited, thrilled really, to find out that today's topic was listening. It's a topic near and dear to my heart. I will say this, I've fortunately or unfortunately have had a career where I've played with thousands of musicians, other musicians. Let me tell you the difference between the good ones and the bad ones. The bad ones don't listen. The good ones listen, and the really good ones, they listen and then they respond and do something that they weren't going to do because they heard you do something first, that's a rare thing, believe it or not. But listening is important to me because it was the first thing that my mother taught me. Her name was Edna, and I haven't seen her in 35 years now. She's been gone a long time. And I think I've said this before, but if she could see me here with you, she would be thrilled. She would be absolutely thrilled. My mother, my first memory really in my life is a song, and it's the song that my mother would sing to me called Shenandoah. And for years, I had the lyrics wrong. I thought it was, "Oh, Shenandoah, I love your daughter," but it's Waters, but it took me to my adulthood before I figured that one out. Ironically, my favorite pianist, Keith Jarrett, did a wonderful version of this. And if you didn't know, Keith Jarrett is now paralyzed in his left hand and can no longer play as he once did. So I'm going to try to do this some justice. It's a beautiful song called Shenandoah. Thank you. One other thing, these slides up here, I was up north at my cabin, and these are pictures I took of the northern lights. It's the first time I've ever seen them. And but besides being visually exciting, there was a sort of a profound feeling that came over me as I looked up. It was really cool. Okay.
So beautiful, Jamie. Calling to you. Sit before the ocean and take in how it reaches out to you and over and over. Notice how the wind moves around you, making space for you. The silence of the morning includes you. The wildflowers in the pasture welcome your looking. The evening breeze moves in and out of you with comfortable familiarity. Strangers in the street carry their wounds and dreams in heavy plastic bags, not knowing what they're waiting for. Beyond the wall are broken hearts with room for you. The noise of the city is not mindless but pleading. Hear the world calling to you, neither an emperor nor a beggar, but a lover, a spouse, calling you to come home, to complete what longs to be whole. Steve Garnis Holmes. I invite you to join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of its truth, the warmth of this community, nor the fire of our commitment. These we carry in our hearts, and we share with all the world. So, beloveds, as we move from this place, another invitation to be still, to listen, to reflect, to be present. And then you may listen to life calling you on. And then, beloveds, after all of that, what will we do? We will sing. Please rise in body or spirit, for life calls us on. service has ended, and our service to the world begins. Go in peace. Be makers of peace. Amen. And blessed be.